Hi friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at the wee little knife. This is the Spyderco Ladybug 3. The specific one is in British Racing Green FRN handle scales and ZDP, or as we say in Canada, ZDP-189 stainless steel, which is a super premium steel. And when it's small like this, you can almost afford it. This knife is right around $55 US. Well, you can save 10% at White Mountain Knives with code CCE, but still, that's a fair bit of money for this little thing. But you can get the Ladybug 3 in at least 3 or 4 different blade styles and at least 5 different steel types. So there's lower cost ones for sure than this out there. And if you're interested in a little knife, a great keychain size knife that locks open, stick around. The full review's coming right now. Okay, so here it is, the little knife that we've got. Where did I put my box? Oh, here it is. This is the package, LBRY 3 Ladybug ZDP 189, made in Japan. So if you're looking for a little knife, perhaps the Ladybug 3 is your choice. By the way, they've got one that's just a tiny, tiny bit bigger. It's called the ManBug. It's a little bit longer, by about a little over 1/8 of an inch longer. 1/16 of an inch thicker. The blade stock is just a tiny bit thicker as well, but exact same dimensions in terms of the size from this perspective, at least on the blade. It's a little knife that very, very useful. This thing does about 3/4 of what I need to do during a given day as an EDC knife. I wear my knives like this on my keychain. I got my keys, and I always have a knife with me. This is a rake knife, or I carry something like this, or something like this. And I've got dozens of tiny knives that I like because I am a little knife fan, maybe a little knife freak, I don't know. What is this knife made of? Well, like I said, it's got this super premium exotic steel, which is very good. It's got like 20% chromium. It's got like 3% carbon in it, which is about 3 times as much as, a lot of knives have. A lot of knives have less than 1% carbon on their steel. Some of the higher end ones, have closer to 2%. This thing's 3% carbon. Rockwell hardness on here can go up to 67. Spyderco tends to go to about 64 for this steel. That's very hard. It makes this steel a little more challenging to sharpen. So if you're a knife newbie, this might not be the steel for you. But you can still get a Ladybug because they've got it in a lot of different steels. You can get it in VG10, you can get it in H1, K390, HAP40, and others. It's got a lot of good options for steel. It's also got a lot of good options for blade styles. So check this out. And on the ManBug, they're coming out with a Warncliffe as well. And that should be out very soon, probably before the end of the year. So there's lots of options for this little thing. It's a small knife. Let's go over a little bit about the size. Here's a size comparison thing. That's not a credit card, but it's the same size as a credit card. See, it's a small knife. When it's closed, it's quite a bit smaller, and it's not very thick either. It's like a small stack of credit cards thick. Not bad at all. We've got a back lock. This is a mid back lock. You push it in and loosen it up. Opens and closes very well. Nice smooth action. I did loosen this up a little bit to take a look inside. They've got some really tiny thin washer in there. Either that or they've got the surface of the FRN that they polished or something. I didn't take it all the way apart because I think this is ultrasonic tightly welded together. So the two pieces here are like one piece now. So you can take this apart with T5 screws if you want to take it apart and clean in there. I wouldn't advise it because this pin is, you can get one of these pins in, but then the other one won't quite line up because there's always tension on that back lock. And so it can be tricky to put them back together. How well does this knife fit in somebody's hand? Well, you've got your first finger choil there, and then your middle finger choil, and then your third. So even a guy like me who's got quite large hands, almost, well, I use gloves. Sometimes I have to buy extra large. Sometimes I buy large men's gloves. And yet I can get a good grip on there. Those three fingers each get their own little bit of a choil. And then my thumb's got this jimping on the FRN. And then the jimping up there on the riser. I really like this blade shape for that. Can really lock in solid. And it's easy to do good cutting with this in a safe manner. You've also got the grip on the sides here, this omnidirectional grips. You get your little Spyderco spider in the middle. And then it's hard to push your skin forward if you're pushing down. And then on here, it's hard to pull back. So if you hold it a little bit sideways like this, you get a very good grip. Or if you hold it this way, it's also a very good grip. They did a good job with designing this grip. They did that years and years ago. I like the drop point or this clip point kind of leaf style shape blade, if you will. Nice belly on here. It's nice and thin. By the way, the Manscaped is just a tiny bit thicker on the steel. It's a nice knife. You get all kinds of color choices, steel choices, and there's all kinds of options. They've got higher end, designed handles. They've got one that's got some nice, I forget exact model name of it, but it's stainless steel, but then it's got this color on it. Well, check this out. All kinds of ways to get a nice little knife. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's go over the dimensions. I'm just going to put this just on the corner of the screen so people can see. When this yellow thing leaves, then I'm done talking about all the sizes, if that bores you. 15 grams, half an ounce. Factory sharpness, 55 BESS. That is very sharp from the factory. The cutting edge length, 4.48 centimeters. That's 1.746 inches, so 1 3/4 inches is what they were going for. The blade length, so tip to the closest spot on the FRN, 5.05 centimeters, 1.988 inches. So 2-inch blade, basically. The blade thickness, 1.94 millimeters. That's 0.0765 inches. The blade depth, we'll go on the widest point instead of going an inch down. 1.975 centimeters. That's 0.777 of an inch. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, and I just went right about in the middle, 0.5 millimeters, 19.5 thousandths of an inch. Very good, I like that. The grind angle, on this side, they ground it to 15.9 degrees, and on this side is 17.5 degrees. Of course, it varies a little bit depending on where on the blade you are, but that's pretty good. This ZDP 189 steel can easily handle 15 degrees per side. When I sharpen this, the next time it needs it, I'm not going to sharpen it until it needs it. I'll probably do it to 15 degrees per side. I've done a lot of cutting with this, by the way, and it's still very sharp. Now for the handle. The handle length is 6.27 centimeters. That's 2.47 inches, so 2.5 inches. The grip area in here, it's about 6 centimeters, about 2.36 inches. The handle thickness, it's 8.22 millimeters thick, which is 0.323 of an inch, so just under 1/3 of an inch. The handle depth is biggest right back here, 2 centimeters, that's 0.788 of an inch. And the depth of the knife when it's closed is right here, 2.64 centimeters, 1.04 inches, so an inch basically. And the total length of the knife from tip to the very end, 11.31 centimeters, 4.435 of an inch. Not bad at all. How much does this knife cost? Well, I got mine from White Mountain Knives. They're selling for this specific one with this color and this steel, $53.90. You can save 10%. That's over $5 off with coupon code CCE, and that applies to almost everything at White Mountain Knives. Other versions cost less. There might be some versions that cost more. You can get different kinds of steel. You can get all kinds of different colors on the FRN. And like I said, you can even get the steel handled version. In Canada, the best place I found to get this is Warriors and Wonders, $71.99. But they've got other versions as well that cost less with the cheaper steel. The Amazon Canada, it's don't bother for this knife, 97 Canadian dollars. Might as well pay $72 from Warriors and Wonders. Knives and Tools, you can get this for 77 euros or 70 pounds in Britain or the UK. And let me go and get my dog before we talk about the rest, because he's barking too much upstairs. Before I get to how I feel about this knife, I want to let you know that this weekend, some of my family, my kids, and my grandkids are coming home for the weekend. It's not that big of a group when they're all here, and it's a small enough group, totally legal here in Alberta, but I won't have time to do more reviews until next week, Tuesday or Wednesday maybe. Also because, I've been painting my room, I'm getting a new bed, so I'm rearranging furniture, all kinds of stuff. It's just a super busy weekend, 5, 6, 7 days. So this will be the last review for a tiny while, and when I get back, I'll do the giveaway for the Patreon supporters and some other information. I'm going to do a little update on what's going on kind of video, and then we'll get back into the reviews. So this little guy, is it a good choice? I think it's a good choice if you want to spend that much money. You can get away with spending a whole lot less money, something like this from SANRENMU. This is the 4025. I think that's 8CR13 MOV steel, or something like this. This one doesn't have a lock. It's a slip joint, but it's got a very strong back detent. It's a really nice blade. I think this is 12C27. Or this Enlan, that's also 12C27. I don't think you can find this knife anymore though. This is the EW148-2. There's a lot of small knives that are nice and cheap. There's even one that looks a bit like a Spyderco that SANRENMU makes. It's called the 6020. And it's available for like $16 US from AliExpress. And I've got one of those. I just couldn't find it right now because of all the work I'm doing cleaning up the room and stuff. I've got a video to it. I'll link the review down below. There's a lot of really good small knives out there that you don't have to spend a lot of money on. But there's nothing wrong with spending money, like this Tucson. It's got S90V. It's a little bit smaller yet than this. It weighs a little bit more because it's all metal, titanium on the handle scales. But they're great keychain knives. I just add a little key loop, and I've carried this with a key loop on here. It's great because it's like half an ounce. It doesn't add a lot of weight to your keychain, and you can do so many different things with it. It functions well. It cuts very well. It's durable, lightweight. It doesn't scare people if you carry this around. You can get it in bright colors if you tend to lose things. If you need something just slightly bigger, you can get the ManBug. If you need something even a little bit bigger than that, you can get the Spyderco Dragonfly. But you don't have to stick with Spyderco. Like I said, there's other brands that make good EDC knives that cost less. One thing I would suggest that you probably not do is go with the Spyderco steel knives. Not this one here. Here's their clippy tool that I have. I'm not sure where the knife is right now. I misplaced it for a little while. But a lot of those are made with 3CR13 stainless steel, which is too low of an end, in my opinion. It's much better to get something like 8CR13 or 12C27 from Sandvik. 3CR13 just should not be used on blades, in my opinion. It's just not a good enough steel when there's a whole lot of other steels out here that in the world that don't cost any more than 3CR13. At least, it might cost 2 pennies more per knife, which in my opinion is not anymore. On the large manufacturing scale, the price is just so close. So what do you think of one of these knives? Would you get one? Or would you rather get a tiny SANRENMU, to fulfill all your keychain kind of needs? I do like the style. I like the fact of how light it is. Most of the other little knives aren't quite that light. But this isn't that heavy either. But this is just a very convenient little knife, and the design is one of the best ones. In terms of how much grip you get out of this handle, none of these other small knives of mine that I have give me the same amount of grip. I got a bunch of knives that I like to use, or something even cheap like this little buck. They're just not as good in the hand, which is something that Spyderco has always been very, very cognizant of, is the ergonomics. And the ergonomics of this knife, it surprises me still that a tiny little half-ounce knife can be this secure in the hand and this functional. So thank you for watching this little video, and thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.